Hi there, Mr. Holcomb here with another episode of The Math Behind the Modules. This is lesson 28, two-step problems, all operations. First question, our first problem says, mathematical modeling exercise. Juan has gained 20 pounds since last year. He now weighs 120 pounds. Rashad is 15 pounds heavier than Diego. If Rashad and Juan weighed the same amount last year, how much does Diego weigh? Let J represent Juan's weight last year in pounds, and let D represent Diego's weight in pounds. Draw a tape diagram to represent Juan's weight. So we're talking about a few different people here and a bunch of different weights going on. So we're starting with letting J represent Juan's weight, and we want to draw a tape diagram to represent Juan's weight. And he gained 20 pounds since last year, and he now weighs 120. So if I drew a tape diagram like so, and this is his weight, and it totals 120 pounds, okay, and there's the tape diagram, but it says he gained 20 pounds since last year. So if I cut this piece off here and say this is 20 pounds, and this is 100 pounds, so he weighed 100 pounds a year ago. Okay, so here's our weight, and draw a tape diagram letting J represent his weight last year in pounds. So I don't want 100 here, I want J. J represents his weight last year before he gained the 20 pounds. So it says he now weighs 120, so J is here, plus 20 is 120 total. It then says to draw a tape diagram to represent Rashad's weight. So Rashad is here. They weighed the same last year, but Rashad is 15 pounds heavier than Diego. Okay, and it says, what else does it say? If Rashad and Juan, there's Juan, weighed the same amount last year, so if I drew a tape diagram, I want to end up with the same weight, so I will draw it the same size as the J. Okay, so if you notice right there, Rashad and Juan weighed the same amount last year. Okay, so this is his weight. And it also says he is 15 pounds heavier than Diego. So if I drew a line here and called this 15, so this is Diego's weight. Okay, so this is Rashad's weight. So Rashad's weight was the same as Juan's last year, so I know these are the same length. But then they said he weighs 15 pounds more than Diego, so if I take a piece of 15 off of that, then Diego is back here. So now it says draw a tape diagram to represent Diego's weight. Well, if I come down here and make my tape diagram only come to here, okay, this will be Diego's weight, D. So it equals this D here, and D plus the 15 is the Rashad's weight, which is equivalent to Juan's weight, and Juan gained 20 pounds since last year. So there are 3 tape diagrams. Okay, so now it says, what would combining all 3 tape diagrams look like? Okay, so combining all 3 tape diagrams would move Diego up to here as well. So I'll just combine them all right here. So if I do this, this piece here is Diego. That is Diego. So now I'll put my J out here. J goes to here. So this total is 120 pounds. Diego's weight is back here. So this is 15. And then I can calculate how much everybody weighs. This total is 120. This is Rashad's weight, which is 120 minus the 20, or 100. Subtract 15 from 100, and then we now find that Diego must weigh 85 pounds. Because 85 plus 15 is 100, plus 20 is 120. So there is our tape diagram representation to solve this problem. So now it will probably say to draw and write an equation to represent Juan's tape diagram. So if I go back, Juan's tape diagram was this first one, just the red, and it was J, this red J, plus this 20, and it equals 120. So I would say J plus 20 equals 120. Write the equation to represent Rashad's tape diagrams. Now that I go back here, Rashad's is right here. Well, that would be D plus 15 plus that 20 equals 120. And then it says, how can we use the final tape diagram or the equations above to answer the questions presented? Okay, well, we can find Juan's weight a year ago by subtracting 20. And when I subtract 20 from both sides, I find out that J equals 100. And then I can find Diego's weight by adding 20 and 15, combining like terms. 20 plus 15 is 35, equals 120. And then subtract that combination. So when I take D plus 35 minus 35, these cancel, and I get D equals, and then 120 minus 35 is 85. So Diego weighs 85 pounds. Okay. So now I know what everybody weighs and did weigh. Calculate Diego's weight. That is right here. We can use identities to defend our thought that D plus 35 minus 35 equals D, and that is the additive inverse. And the additive inverse will give you the additive identity of 0. The additive identity of 0 simply says that D equals D, because anything plus 0 is itself. Does the answer make sense? Yes, it does, because we have 85 pounds. 15 pounds more would give us Rashad's weight, and 20 pounds more would give us Juan's weight. So everything calculates. Okay, so here's example 1. Marissa has twice as much money as Frank. Christina has $20 more than Marissa. If Christina has $100, how much money does Frank have? Let F represent the amount of money Frank has in dollars, and M represent the amount of money Marissa. So F is Frank's money, and M is Marissa's money. Marissa has twice as much money as Frank. Okay, Marissa has twice as much money as Frank. Christina has $20 more than Marissa. The key term there is more than. The key term here is twice as much. Draw a tape diagram to represent the amount of money Frank has. So Marissa has twice as much money as Frank. So Frank has twice as much money as Frank. So if I draw a tape diagram for that, then it's going to be F. So there's how much money Frank has. Draw a tape diagram to represent the amount of money Marissa has. I'm going to draw a tape diagram that looks like what Frank's is. And it says here, Marissa has twice as much money as Frank. So that'd be 2F. So I need another piece of tape, same size. So it's 2 of these. 1, 2. So this is Marissa. So these 2 F's is what Marissa has. Now it says draw a tape diagram to represent the amount of money Christina has. Christina has $20 more than Marissa. Well, if Marissa has twice as much as Frank, which is this amount, let's try that again. Okay, so this is Marissa. Okay, the same length as the twice Frank, and then we're going to add $20 to that because it says she has $20 more. So there is Christina. So this is Christina. It says if Christina has $100, so now I know that this is $100. Okay, so there's all our tape diagrams set up. Which tape diagram provides enough information to determine the value of M? Okay, and it is Christina's tape diagram. So it's Christina's tape diagram that will tell us that, because now we know that m plus 20 is 100. So now it says write and solve the equation. M plus 20 equals 100. M plus 20 equals the total. To solve this, we do the additive inverse, subtract 20, and 20 minus 20 is 0, m plus 0 is m, 100 minus 20 is $80. So Marissa has $80. So now I know that Marissa has $80. I know that this is 80. And this is all coming together now. It says the identities we have discussed through this model solidify that m plus 20 minus 20 equals m. That's what I did right here. What does the 80 represent? Marissa's money. The M represents Marissa's money. Now that we know Marissa has $80, how can we use this information to find out how much money Frank has? Write an equation. So Marissa has twice Frank. So 2F equals Marissa's money, which was 80. So it would be 2 times Frank equals what Marissa has. Divide both sides by 2. This is where I'm solving the equation. Divide both sides by 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 1F is F. 80 divided by 2 is 40. Frank has $40. Once again, the identities we have used throughout this model can solidify that 2F divided by 2 is F. What does the 40 represent? 40 represents Frank's money. Does $40 make sense to this problem? Yes. And I'm not going to give an explanation, I'm just going to say it. Frank has $40, and we double Frank's money, that is 80, and that is how much Marissa has. It says Christine has $20 more than Marissa, 20 more than 80 is 100. It says that Christine has $100, so that is true. It does make sense. Okay. Here's an exercise. Pause the video, see if you can do it. Come back, and we'll take a look. Okay, so station 1. Use tape diagrams to solve this problem. Brianna is twice as old as Madeline, and Laura is 10 years older than Brianna. If Laura is 50 years old, how old is Madeline? Let M represent Madeline's age in years, and let R represent Brianna's age in years. Brianna is twice as old as Madeline. Okay. So, if I start with Madeline, this is Madeline. Brianna is twice as old as Madeline. So that's how old Brianna is. 2M. Laura is 10 years older than Brianna. So Laura is going to be this piece, which is Brianna, plus 10. If Laura is 50 years old, so now I'm going to start calculating these. Laura is 50, that means this is 50. And this represents Brianna's age. So there's my tape diagram. So my equation is going to be, so now it's asking let M represent Madeline's age in years. What are they asking us to do? If Laura's 50 years old, how old is Madeline? So we want to know how old Madeline is. So we have to work backwards. So Laura is R plus 10, and we know she's 50. So if I subtract 10 from both sides, I get R equals 40. So now I know Brianna is 40. She's twice the age of Madeline. So Madeline, or Brianna, is 2M. So Brianna equals twice the age of Madeline. And now we know Brianna is 40. 40 equals 2M. In order to solve this, this is multiplication. The inverse of multiplication is division. And 2 divided by 2 is 1. M equals 40 divided by 2, which is 20. So therefore, Madeline is 20 years old. Okay, here's station 2's example. Pause the video, see if you can do it, come back, and we'll see if you did it correctly. Okay, use a tape diagram to solve the problem. Carly has 90 apps on her phone. Carly. Braylon has half the amount of apps as Dice. If Carly has 3 times the amount of apps Dice has, how many does Braylon have? Let B represent the number of Braylon's apps, T represent the number of Dice's apps. So Carly has 90 apps on her phone. Braylon has half the amount of apps as Dice. And Carly has 3 times the amount of apps as Dice. How many apps does Braylon have? So who are we going to start with here? That is the first question. Okay, we're going to start with Dice because it says if Carly has 3 times the amount of apps as Dice, so we have to start with Dice. I think that's how you say that name. Never heard it before. So that's Dice. Carly. So I'll say Dice is this. Carly equals 3 times Dice. So there's 1. There's 2. There's 3 times Dice. That's Carly. Braylon has half the amount of apps as Dice. Okay, so Braylon has Braylon is going to equal half the amount as Dice. So this is going to be Braylon because it's 1/2 of T. So I come down. There it is. Okay. Is that right? Let B represent the number of Braylon's apps and T represent the number of Dice's apps. Braylon has half the amount of apps as Dice. Carly has 3 times the amount of apps as Dice. How many apps does Braylon have? So now we know Carly has 90 apps on her phone. So that's how we start this. So this equals 90. So I'm going to say 3T, 3 Dices equals 90. If I divide those by 3, 3 divided by 3 is 1, and find out that Dice is 30 apps. So each T is 30. 30 plus 30 plus 30 is 90. So now I know this equals 30. So now I know that Braylon equals 1/2 T. And T is 30. So Braylon equals 1/2 of 30. So Braylon equals 50 apps. Okay. So did we answer the question? How many apps does Braylon have? Yes, the answer is 50. Okay, here's Station 3's example. Pause the video, see if you can solve it. If you can and did, come back and check it, and I will now solve. Reggie ran for 180 yards during the last football game. So here's Reggie, which is 40 yards more than his previous personal best. Monte ran 50 more yards than Adrian during the same game. Monte ran the same amount of yards as Reggie ran. One game for his previous personal best. How many yards does Adrian run? Let R represent the number of yards Reggie ran. His previous personal best. A represent the number of yards Adrian ran. Okay. So we know a total. Reggie ran for 180 yards during his last football game. So during Reggie's last football game, he ran 180 yards. I'm going to call this 180. It's 40 more yards than his previous personal best. So if I cut off 40 of those yards, this was his previous personal best. I'm going to call that R. Okay. Monte ran 50 more yards than Adrian during the same game. Okay. If Monte ran the same amount of yards as Reggie ran in one game for his previous personal, in the one game for his previous personal best, that means he ran R. So this is going to be Monte's tape diagram. It's going to equal the length of Reggie's right here. And it says he ran for 50 more yards than Aiden. So Aiden plus 50 is going to be equal to Reggie's previous personal best. So now Aiden's tape diagram is this. Okay, so now I can solve this. I have a total 180, and I know that that is R plus 40. So I want to find Reggie's personal best. So I say R plus 40 equals 180. Subtract 40 from both sides, and I get R equals 140. Now I know that M equals R. So if I say M equals R, and M is A plus 50, that means A plus 50 equals R, but R is 140. To get A by itself, we subtract 50 from both sides, and we get these to cancel, and we get A equals 90. So this is, how many yards did Aiden run? Aiden ran 90 yards. And the last one, station 4, use a tape diagram to solve the problem. Lance rides his bike downhill at a pace of 60 miles an hour. Okay. Lance, 60 miles an hour. When Lance is riding uphill, he rides 8 miles per hour slower than flat roads. If Lance's downhill speed is 4 times faster than his flat road speed. So we have him riding uphill, which is his speed minus 8. We have him riding downhill, which is 4 times the speed that he rides on the road is flat. So here's a little quick diagram. Speed uphill is 8 miles an hour less than flat, and downhill is 4 times. Okay. When Lance is riding uphill, he rides 8 miles per hour slower. If Lance is riding downhill, speed's 4 times faster. How fast does he travel uphill? Let F represent Lance's pace on flat roads in miles per hour, and U represent Lance's pace uphill. So my first piece of my tape diagram is going to be, I want to know what F represents. It's a tape diagram. Let F represent his pace on a flat road. Okay. And it's equal to 8 miles per hour slower than his uphill. So the total would be uphill plus the 8 miles an hour would be flat. 8 plus U. Uphill plus 8. So this is U, this is D, and this is F. Okay. Then it says he rides 4 times as fast. So there's 1 F, 2 F, 3 F, 4 F. These are F's. And that is downhill. So that's my D. This is my F. So it says Lance rides his bike downhill at a pace of 60 miles per hour. So this equals 60. This is downhill. So 4F equals 60. Divide both sides by 4. And we get F equals 15. Okay, so his flat pace is 15 miles per hour. How fast does he travel uphill? We haven't answered that yet. Uphill is here. So if F equals uphill plus 8, and now we know that F is 15, 15 equals uphill plus 8. If I subtract 8 from both sides, I get these to cancel, and U on Y. U equals 15 minus 8, or 7 miles per hour. Okay, that is the end of lesson 28. Go do your problem set.